Friends, none of us likes to be powerless. We become unhappy when we are helpless or powerless. No one wants to reduce their power, but everyone wants to increase their power. If we remain weak in this world, then everyone will continue to degrade us. Making ourselves strong should be the first goal of our life, to live in this world. Without strength, this book contains 48 rules to become strong that every human being must know. So let's start with the first rule of power, which is to get others to work, but take credit for yourself. Use the wisdom, knowledge, and hard work of others to reach your goals. In this way, you will not only save your valuable time and energy, but it will also create an image that you are very efficient and fast. People will remember you, and your assistance will be lost in the darkness of oblivion. Never do the work you can get others to. To yourself, the world of power is like the world of the jungle. Some animals live by hunting themselves, while most animals such as jackals and vultures live on the prey of others. The latter have less imagination and often cannot do the work that needs power. They soon realize that if they wait, they will find some animal that will. Hunt for them. Do not become knave at this time when you are working like a donkey. You are also vulture hovering over you and thinking of a way to benefit from your creativity. It is useless to complain about it or get angry. It is better that you protect yourself when you get the work done by others and take credit yourself. Find people who have the skills and creativity that you lack. Either hire them and start labeling their name on their work, or find some other way to paste your name on their work. In this way, their creativity is in front of people. Your creativity becomes, and you start looking genius. You can also use this rule in another way, in which you do not need to take advantage of the hard work of your contemporary like a parasite. The essence of this method is to use the larger angle of knowledge and intellect that is the past. Isaac Newton gave it to stand on the shoulders of powerful people. What he meant was that while doing his discovery, he had taken advantage of the successes of people of the past. Newton had taken full advantage of the knowledge of ancient scientists, and he knew that Shakespeare wrote plays on the stories of others. He also stole a lot of dialogue from others. So the author says that if you learn by yourself, then your whole life will be spent like this. Friends, you have two paths. Either work hard throughout your life trying to do original work, make frequent mistakes, waste your time and energy, or learn from the mistakes of the past and make yourself victorious. Wise says, I like to benefit from the experience of others. Chapter number 2 is keep your intentions hidden. Most people are like an open book. They speak their mind immediately. They express their thoughts as soon as they get a chance. They speak constantly about their plans and intentions. They do this for a variety of reasons. The first thing is that the desire to talk about their feelings and future plans is very common and natural. Restrain your tongue, and it is difficult to control your words. The second thing is that many people believe that with honesty and clarity, they will win the hearts of people and prove their good mind. Honesty is actually a powerful weapon that cuts less, blood flows more. Your honesty is more likely to hurt people, so it is wise to measure the words and speak. It is wise to tell people what they want to hear. It is not wise to tell them the hard truth that you feel or think. More importantly, when you are open about your intentions and future plans, nothing is hidden about you. In such a situation, people will neither respect you nor will you. You will be afraid. The thing to note is that the person whom people do not respect or whom people are not afraid of never comes to power. If you want power, put honesty aside and learn the art of hiding your intentions. If you become proficient in this art, then you will always be in advantage. This human nature behind the ability to hide intentions. The simple truth is that we usually trust what we see. We do not doubt the truth of what we see and hear. If we imagine other things hidden behind the things we see, we will not only be very tired but also live in panic. Due to this, it becomes comparatively easier to hide intentions, indicate a goal or purpose that people get impressed, and it is not necessary that your real goal is the same. When you keeping that goal in front of people's eyes again and again, they will consider it your real goal. One way to hide intentions is to constantly talk about your desires and goals, but they should not be your real desires and goals. This way you will hunt three with one stone. You will appear friendly, sincere, and trustworthy. You will hide your intentions, and you will send your opponent in the wrong direction, which will waste their time. Another powerful tool to mislead people is false sincerity. People mistakenly take sincerity for honesty. When people feel that you believe in what you are saying, it will add a lot of weight to your words. If you believe that cheaters are also people who mislead with big lies and exaggerated stories, then you think very wrong. The best cheaters are those who use indifferent and invisible masks, due to which they go unnoticed. They know that unnecessary words and actions will immediately arouse people's suspicions. Once you suppress people's vigilance by using familiar words, they will not notice that there are deceitful intentions behind these words. The more uniform your mask is, the better your intentions will be hidden. The easiest form of the mask is the facial expressions of the indifferent and expressive face. All kinds of destructive plans can be made behind which no one will even know. The most powerful people in history were adept at using this weapon. Chapter number 3 is always speak less than necessary. Do not try to influence people with words. The more you speak, the more ordinary you will look and the less control you will have. If you keep your point vague, evasive and awkward, then your monotonous talk will also seem original. Strong people impress by speaking less and look overpowering. It is more likely that while speaking more, some silly thing will come out of your mouth. Power is a game of show in many ways. When you speak less than necessary, you always seem more great and powerful than reality. Your silence will upset other people. Humans are machines for analysis and explanation. They are obsessed with knowing what you're thinking. When you control your words carefully, they don't understand your intentions, your short answers, or in silence, they will get defensive and jump in between. In their rush to fill the empty space of your silence, they will start saying anything nervously, which will give you valuable information about them and their weaknesses. After meeting you, they will feel like they have been robbed. When they go home, they will think deeply about your every word. When people pay extra attention to your brief comments, it will make your power has to increase. In youth, painter Andy Warhol understood that it is impossible to talk to people and make them do what they want. People will turn against you, act against your desires and disobey you because of their evil nature. He once told a friend, "I learned that when you are silent, you actually have more power." In later life, Warhol used this technique very well. In interviews, he used very brief sentences like prophecy. He used to say something complex and mysterious, and the interviewer was in such a dilemma that he did not know what it would mean. He started thinking that there must be something deep hidden behind the meaningless sentences. Of Warhol in his paintings, they never talked about it. They left it to others to analyze it. The less they talked about their work, the more others talked about it, and the more people talked about it, the more expensive Warhol's paintings sold. By speaking less than necessary, you increase the dramatization of your power too much. Apart from this, the less you speak, the less you risk of getting something silly or dangerous. In 1825, Nicholas I sat on the throne of Russia. There was a revolt against him as soon as he ascended his throne. This revolt was being carried out by liberals who were demanding modernization. They wanted industries and buildings to be built in Russia like the rest of Europe, known as the December Uprising, in ruthless suppression. Of this rebellion, Nicholas I ordered the execution of the rebel leader Karety Raylev. Raylev was made to stand on the plank to be hanged, and a rope was tied around his neck. Then the plank was removed from below, but as soon as the rope was swinged by, the rope broke and he fell to the ground. At that time, such incidents were considered as God's justice, and the person who avoided the death penalty in this way was usually forgiven. When the railway stood on his feet, he was hurt, but he was sure that his life was saved, so he shouted to the crowd and said, "You people have seen that the Russians cannot do any work properly. They do not even know how to make a rope." A messenger immediately he went to the emperor with the news that the death penalty could not be carried out. Despite being worried about this disappointing news, Nicholas I began to sign the apology letter of the rebel leader Railway, but then he asked the messenger if Ryliev had said anything after this incident. The messenger replied that the Russians did not even know how to make a rope. The emperor tore the apology letter, said that if this is the case, then we will prove his point wrong. The next day the railway was hanged again, and this time it did not break. There is a lesson to be learned here, that once you get out of the mouth you cannot return the words again. Keep them under control. Be especially careful about satire. your sarcastic arrows will give you. There may be momentary satisfaction, but in return, you have to pay a lot of price for them. If you like our book summary, then do not forget to subscribe to DY Books channel. Chapter number 4 is much depends on reputation, protected at all costs. Reputation is the foundation of power. Only through reputation can you dominate and win. Even once you slip, you will become insecure and you will start being attacked from all directions. Make such a reputation that no one can attack it. Always be alert about possible attacks and eliminate them before they happen. During this time, your enemies learn to destroy them by breaking into reputations, then stand far away and let the public criticize them. The people around us, even though they are our best friends, have intelligence corridors in their character that they do not reveal. If we think too much about it, we will get upset because until we know them fully, we will not know them completely. How can we evaluate? So we ignore this fact and evaluate people only on the basis of appearances. The basis of our evaluation is that which is clearly visible to our eyes. Clothes, postures, words, work, performance in society is the measure of all our evaluations. You cannot create trust in any other way, one mistake of yours or one in your appearance. Even an awkward or sudden change can prove disastrous, so it's very important to build and maintain your own reputation. This reputation will protect you in the dangerous game of appearances. This reputation will not allow people's keen eyes to know how you really are. This makes you evaluate yourself on your own terms from the world. In the beginning, you need to build the reputation of a particular quality, whether it is generosity or honesty or grazing. That quality separates you from others, and due to this, others start talking about you. After that, you should publicize your reputation in more and more people. Although this work should be done very wisely, gradually build reputation and strengthen its foundation. After some time, spread rapidly like wildfire. Solid reputation increases your weight and makes your powers magnify without your hard work. It can also create an aura around you, so that people have respect for you, even fear arises. While fighting in the North African desert during World War II, German General Atin Romal had built a reputation for cunning and deceit, allowing every army to fight him. She used to come in panic, although their army was left with a handful and the number of British tanks was 5 times more than them, but on hearing the news of Romel's arrival, the whole city was empty. Base your reputation on a particular quality, whether it is work efficiency or charm. It introduces you like a visiting card and casts a spell on people. Reputation is a treasure on the other hand. Attacking someone else's reputation is a very effective weapon, especially when he is more powerful than you. In such a war, the loss is his because there is a loss for him. The pass is high. If he attacks you back, then he will have a small target in front of him because your reputation is low right now. But this strategy should be used very wisely. It should not seem that you are engaging in petty vengeance. If you are not able to tarnish the reputation of your enemy cleverly, then you will unknowingly tarnish your reputation. Never attack anyone. Don't go too far while doing it, because this will focus less on his mistakes and more on your vengeance. If your reputation has become solid, use more subtle strategies to weaken your opponent, such as sarcasm or mockery. This will make people think of you as a funny prankster. The mighty lion enjoys with the rat that comes in his way. If he starts to react differently, the horrible reputation will be destroyed. Chapter number 5 is attract attention at all costs. Looking brighter than the people around you is an art that is not innate. You have to learn to attract people's attention. At the beginning of your career, you should associate your name and reputation with a quality or image so that you stand out from other people. Once your reputation is established, you have a pretending sky in which your own star shines. It is wrong to think that this unique form of yours should not be controversial or that criticism of people is bad. The truth is quite the opposite. Don't try to avoid criticism, more to someone else's than yourself. Don't let you become notorious. You should not care about why you are paying attention, no matter what reason people are getting attention towards you, you benefit. In the court of Lychav there were many worthy writers, artists, beauties, and men of character, but no one else was talked about as much as Duke Duklalausen. The duke was short and behaved very rudely. He slept with the king's girlfriends and openly not only misbehaved with other courtiers but also insulted the emperor, however. Louis found the duke's uniqueness so seductive that he could not tolerate his absence in the court. The reason is obvious. The strange of the duke's character attracted everyone's attention from him. After being mesmerized, people wanted to keep them around them at all costs. Society always likes people who are older or different from average people, so develop qualities due to which you look different from others and attract people's attention towards you. So embrace the controversy, even the scandal. People ignore you. It is better that they criticize you. The question is what to do if you are in a small position where you have very few opportunities to attract the attention of others. The effective way to do in this situation is to attack the most famous and powerful person around you. When the young Roman slave of the 16th century, Pitol, mocking the Pope's love for the elephant, many satires writing poems Ariot immediately caught the public eye with this attack, criticizing a person in a high position also has the same effect. However, remember that after getting the attention of the public, use this strategy only occasionally because people will not take it seriously if you do it repeatedly. Once you get into the public eye, you will find new ways to attract their attention. If you do not do this, then people will get bored with you, will not pay much attention to you, and will be attracted to a new star. This game requires constant caution and creativity. Pablo Picasso never let himself get lost in the background. He always deliberately put a new series of paintings in front of the public, which was contrary to everyone's expectations. Before people are more familiar with his style of painting, he should be surprised by making some bad and disturbing paintings. People consider themselves superior to the person whose work they can predict in advance. If you go against their expectations and tell them that you are in your hands, you will also get their respect and you will also be able to attract their attention for a long time. Chapter number 6 is to invite others to you. Add grain if needed. When you force the other person to do something, the control is in your hands. It is always better if your opponent comes to you and in the process gives up your plans, tempts him with a great temptation, and then attacks him. This drama has been played many times in history. An aggressive leader takes many bold steps so that he becomes very powerful. After some time he reaches the pinnacle of power, but soon after that everything starts turning against him. His innumerable enemies combine among themselves. In an attempt to maintain his power, he fights in every direction, which makes him tired and eventually he collapses. The reason this happens is that this aggressive person never has complete control. He can't see more than 2 or 4 steps ahead. He can't see the results of his adventure, because he always has to react to the steps of his enemies and his hasty actions. So his aggressive energy becomes his enemy. In the world of power, you should ask yourself, if the control is not in my hands, then from here to there, what's the point of running away, solving problems and trying to defeat enemies? Why am I obsessed with reacting to events instead of controlling them? The answer is simple. Your definition of power is wrong. You have mistakenly taken aggressive action as effective work. Often the most effective thing to do is to stay behind, stay calm, and lure others into the traps you set. Immediate victory. Remember, the basic foundation of power is the ability to take initiative, get others to react to your actions, force your opponents and those around you to get defensive. When your strategy leads to other people approaching you, suddenly you are in control of the situation, and the one who has control, you have power, you must have too. Things to reach this state: first, you must learn to control your emotions and never get angry. You must take advantage of the natural instincts of people who get provoked or tempted to flare up. The ability to force others to come to you is your most powerful weapon in terms of long-term strategy. If the opponent comes to you by force, then one of its benefits will also be that he will be in your area. He will be nervous due to coming in the enemy's territory, so he will often work in haste and he will make mistakes. It is wise that in conversations or meetings, the other person comes to your area, or at least in the area of your choice. In this way you will be in a familiar environment. Selfishness is a dangerous game when one suspects that he is being made to mean it. It becomes more difficult to control him. But when you force your opponent to come to you, he gets the illusion that he is controlling the situation. Daniel Du, the famous investor of the 19th century, was a seasoned player of the stock market. When he wanted others to buy or sell the stock of a particular company and push its price up or down, he never used a direct policy. He used to work smartly. One of his tricks was to go to a club on the way to Wall Street that they have to reach the stock exchange soon. Then they took out a red handkerchief to reach their sweat. A paper fell from this handkerchief, but they did not pay attention to its fall. The club members always tried to sense Du's steps, so after he left, they would grab that paper and pick up that paper. In that paper wrote confidential information about the share of a company. The word used to spread, and the members would start buying and selling shares based on that information, and thus became a toy in the hands of Du. Everything depends on how sweet the grain you are putting is. If your net is attractive, the confusion of your enemy's desires and emotions will not allow them to see the truth. The more their greed increases, the more they will can only be rotated. If you like our book summary, then do not forget to subscribe to DY Books channel. Chapter number 7 is not by debate but by your actions. The momentary victory that comes from the debate is actually empty. It does not change the views of the other person. Instead, it creates country and malice in his mind, which persists for a long time. It is very effective to influence others with your actions without saying anything. So do not speak but show by working. In the field of power, you should evaluate your actions by the fact that others, but what is their long-term impact? The difficulty in arguing and trying to get your point of view is that you can never say for sure what effect it is having on the other person. Maybe he seems to agree with you but is hating you inside, or maybe you have unknowingly said such a thing. Keep in mind that the other person interprets the words you say on the basis of his mood and insecurity. There is no solid foundation for even the best arguments because we all distrust them due to the deceitful nature of words. Back to everybody knows that in the heat of arguing we can say anything in support of our point. We can quote the Bible or refer to data that cannot be verified. Who can believe us with such a whirlwind? Actions are far more powerful and meaningful than they are before our eyes, and we can see them. Actions do not have stinging words, and there is no possibility of wrong conclusions. No one can argue with the evidence that appears in front. As Grecian says, the truth usually does not appear to be heard. By revealing your views through work, your opponents are not defensive, so they easily agree with your argument. If your goal is to gain or preserve strength, always find an indirect path and choose the battlefield carefully. If in the long term it doesn't matter whether the other person agrees with you or not, or if time and experience make them understand what you mean, then it is best don't try to convince them. Save your energy and get on from there. Chapter 8 is avoiding unhappy and unlucky people. You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are contagious just like diseases. You may think you are helping a drowning man, but remember that by doing this you are only adding to your own difficulties. Unlucky people attract bad luck towards you. If you help them, bad luck will also attract you. So happy and happy-lucky people living with some people are unfortunate. These people are victims of misfortune, not because of their mistakes but because of circumstances. They deserve our help and sympathy. But many people do not succumb to misfortune but invite misfortune themselves because of their destructive deeds and bad effects on others. They think that it would be a good thing to get them out of trouble or change their habits, but often their habits come to us and instead of them we change. The reason is easy to understand. The people with whom a person lives, their moods, feelings and ways of thinking have a great impact on him. The risk in associating with bad influences is that you will waste your valuable time and energy. Apart from this, when people see you sitting with such people, their opinion of you will not be good. Never reduce the dangers of bad influence. There is only one solution to bad influence. The danger is that these people who have bad influences are avoiding often act as if it is not their fault but the circumstances. So in the beginning it is difficult to see that they have invited the suffering themselves. By the time you know the reality of the problem, it is often too late. How can you protect yourself from such a dangerous infection? The answer is that you should not evaluate people by the fact that what causes their problems rather than what they do on the world. Bad influencers can be identified by these things that invite misfortune. Their past is very turbulent. They break up with many people. their careers are stable, and their character has a dangerous force that influences you lose your reasoning power. Seeing these characteristics of the bad influencers, become aware in advance. Learn to see the sense of dissatisfaction with their eyes. The most important thing is not to feel pity on him, and do not get entangled in trying to help him. Run away from the bad influencers, or else you will have to face the consequences, the other side of the bad influence. Equally correct and perhaps easier to understand. Some people attract happiness through their pleasant nature, natural enthusiasm and intelligence. They are a source of happiness, and you should connect with them so that you can also be a part of their happiness. If you like our book summary, then do not forget to subscribe to DY Books channel. Chapter number 9 is Learn to make people dependent on you. To maintain your independence, you should be such that people always need you, and the more they trust you, the more freedom you have. Do something so that others become dependent on you for their happiness and prosperity. The biggest proof of your power is that you can make people work according to your eye when you force people to do things or do it without hurting you. That is, when they do what they want to do. No one can touch your power. The best way to get into this situation is to build relationships of dependency. The boss needs your services. He is weak or can't work without you. You're so deeply immersed in his work that removing you will make him very difficult, or he will waste a lot of precious time in training another person in your place. Once such a relationship is established, your position is empowered and you can get the boss to do what you want. You are like the servant of the king sitting behind the throne who actually controls the king. Don't be like the people who accidentally let's assume that self-reliance is the biggest strength. To become powerful, it is necessary to have relationships with people. You will always need supporters, positions, or weak bosses. If you are not able to make yourself mandatory, you will be thrown out at the first opportunity. You will be replaced by a younger, less expensive, and low-risk new person. Don't take this risk and make people dependent on you. When everything depends on you, you cannot be fired. Firing you means catastrophe, so your boss can never take this risk. There are many ways to get into this kind of situation. The most important of them is to have some ability or creative talent that has no choice. You do not need to be a genius. You need a qualification that sets you apart from the crowd. You should create a situation in which you can easily find another master or guardian, but your master cannot easily find another servant with the same special ability as you, and even if you are not really indispensable, you should pretend to be indispensable. People will think that they cannot do without you. If you get into such a situation, then there is a huge risk in getting rid of you because everyone depends on you. Do not think that if your boss is dependent on you, he will also love you. The truth is that he will hate and fear you, but as Macaulay said, love instead of creating fear. In people, you can control fear, but you can never control love. Relying on subtle and changing emotions like love or friendship makes you insecure. Instead of becoming popular, it is better that people depend on you and fear the consequences of your departure. Chapter number 10 is Use a little honesty and generosity to disarm the victim. The key to cheating is distraction. Distraction distracts the people you want to deceive, gives you time and opportunity to deceive. People can best be distracted by acts of kindness, generosity, or honesty because it eliminates their doubts. It makes them children and eager to accept all kinds of loving gestures. In ancient China, it was said to give before taking. Giving before giving did not attract the attention of the other person that you were going to take from him. There are infinite practical uses of this trick. It is dangerous to take something openly from someone. Hunting for even powerful people will plan retribution. It is also dangerous to ask for what is needed. No matter how politely you ask for, as long as the person in front, he will not see his benefit. Until then, he will not pay attention to your need. He may be irritated by it. Learn to give before you take. It softens the ground. The blow of future urges is felt gently and distracts some. Giving can take many forms: real gifts, generous actions, gratitude, true confession. A little honesty works best when meeting someone for the first time. We are all slaves to habits, and our first image lasts for a long time. If someone starts believing at the beginning of the relationship that you are honest, then later it takes a lot of effort to change this trust. This gives you a lot of opportunity to strategize. Often a single act of honesty is not enough. This reputation of honesty is very much needed. Once this reputation is created, it is not easy to shake it like the first image. Very few people dislike the gift, even if it is given by their most determined enemy. That is why it is the best way to disarm people. The gift awakens the child, hidden inside us, and loosens our defense. We often look at the actions of others with criticism, but we rarely see the crookedness behind the gift, behind which often the larger purpose lies. Gifts are the best way to hide your trickery. This strategy should be used carefully. If people sense this, their frustrated feelings of gratitude and affection will turn into hate and distrust until you do not play with fire, until you can act out the true and heartfelt gift. Chapter number 11 is that when asking for help, plead not for pity or gratitude, but for selfishness. If you need a partner's help, do not remind him how much you have helped him in the past or how many good things have been done for him. If you do so, he will find some way to ignore you. Instead, point to something in your request that will benefit him. If you feel that he can be good because of your help, then he will help you with full enthusiasm. In the search for power, you will have to repeatedly ask for help from people more powerful than you. Asking for help is also an art. This art depends on how much ability you have to understand the other person, and also that you understand the difference between your needs and his needs. People are not able to ask for help because they are lost in their own wants and needs. They assume that the people they are asking for help will selflessly help them. They insist, as if their needs are important to others when perhaps they don't care about them at all. Sometimes they cite big issues, great expressions like goal or love and gratitude. They start showing the big picture, while everyday things have more power to influence. They do not realize that even the most powerful person is entangled in his own needs, and if you do not give in to his selfishness, he will consider helping you a waste of his time. Once you understand how you can meet the needs in front of you or help them reach their goals, all obstacles towards fulfilling your urges will disappear by magic. And sensing the interests, you remove the veil of your emotions because it blurs the truth. If you become proficient in this art, then there will be no limit to your success. So friends, did you like today's book summary? Let us know in comments. Thank you for your patience in listening to the ending. You can read the many book summaries on dybooks.in. See you in the next book summary.